When you guys play like pretty high harass heroes, I would recommend actually never having like full mana. You want to use your spells like as much as possible. I'm playing co-op in this instance against Sumail. I'm gonna be hitting this Void Spirit all the time. And then I screamed to last it and hit him. Hit him once, hit him again, lasted a creep, hit him again, hitting him again. Ideally, you want to be hitting your opponent and using your spells to get the creep. That's like the maximum you can get. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the wave manipulation in the mid lane. What that basically means is that you guys need to know when to push the wave, when to keep the wave stable, like in what scenarios you guys really want the lane to swing. So in this replay, I am playing Void Spirit against Puck mid lane. And as you guys can see, I win my block, going for an early bottle. And as you guys can see in the replay, I am pretty much auto-attacking my creeps while always making sure to get the last hits. Also using my spells to hit him and the creep. What this basically does is I push in the wave very hard. Got 4 out of 4 creeps. And this basically means that he can't, during all this time when the creeps ran towards him, he cannot hit me. And I'm safe from getting hit. Here, using spells to get the denies. And in this matchup, you want the wave to be manipulated a lot. You want the wave to be pretty swingy. Because if the lane is stable in the mid lane, the Puck pretty much can freely hit you, right? He's a 600 range hero, you're a melee hero. You want the wave to be pretty swingy. As you guys can see here, this goes from tower to tower. And I'm at pretty much like 80% HP all this time. Generally, when you guys play like pretty high harass heroes, like Quap, Lina, Puck for example, I would recommend like actually never having like full mana. You want to use your spells like as much as possible. Ideally, you hit the creeps, you get the last hit of the enemy creep, and you hit the enemy hero with your spell. That's like the ideal. I'm playing co-op in this instance against Sumail on Void Spirit. So you guys can see here, I'm gonna be hitting this Void Spirit all the time, and then I screamed to the laugh. I screamed to get the last hit and hit him. That's pretty much like ideal scenario. And also what this means is you're not busy like hitting the creep with your auto attacks. I pretty much get like 2 hits off of the Void Spirit instead of last hitting this creep down. Hit him once, hit him again, last hit the creep, hit him again, hitting him again. That's like 4 or 5 hits. And he got hit by the spell. So that's like ideally how you want to do it. You wanna be hitting your opponent and using your spells to get the creep. That's like the maximum you can get. So in this matchup, Void Spirit versus Co-op, Void Spirit is like the inferior like harassing hero. What that basically means is that Void Spirit wants the lane to swing a lot from tower to tower, while Co-op's goal is to keep the lane in the middle as much as possible, right? So this block is actually like pretty far on my hill, which is like not that ideal for me, because any like small misstep behind the wave will put his creeps into my tower, which then results in me pushing the wave in. You guys can see this here. I'm gonna move back a bit to eat a tango, and his creeps run into tower range, which then means that my wave is gonna push. What you guys can do in this scenario though is not ideal, but it's it's not like awful or anything. What you guys need to do here is you have 2 options. You either hit the Void Spirit, or if he's out of range, you try to ruin or mess up his last hits. Either with spells, which this game I can't really because I don't have a stun. So I just, opt to ruin his CS, as you guys can see here. I hit the creep in a way where he can pretty much not get it, because the tower hits at the same time, so it's very hard for him to get the creep. Can show it in slow motion. Tower hits once. Tower hits again, and I hit it at the same time, and he misses the CS. I try to do it here again, but didn't get it. So the first wave, up until, you know, him missing the creeps on the tower, is pretty much like achieved. He got the lane to like a point where it swings like pretty heavily. He has 2 waves on the tower. You know, if he got like a few more last hits, I think he would feel like pretty happy about himself. So at the next wave at 120, our waves meet in the middle. And this is pretty much co-op's dream against melee heroes. Or like pretty much any like high harassing hero against a melee hero or a ranged hero that cannot harass you back. This is pretty much the dream, where the waves meet in the middle and you pretty much like trade range creeps and you have the same amount of melee creeps. This is like the dream. Because now I use my spells to harass the enemy hero. You know, use pretty much all my spells. I can freely hit him. And like now this is like pretty hard for him. This is definitely not like where you want to be as Void Spirit. Oftentimes, people that don't play mid a lot try to just keep like a static lane in lanes where, you know, the lane should be swinging a lot. Like they're playing like very uneven matchups. Like they're playing like Viper TA or like Viper Ember. In the TA and Ember, you know, they're just trying to play like a normal game. They're trying to keep the lane like static, and they maybe get like 1 creep per wave, or they have to just jungle. The wave manipulation in very uneven lanes is very, very important. If you don't do this in a very uneven matchup, you will pretty much have to leave the lane at like level 3 or something. Really early on you have to leave the lane if you don't do this. So yeah, wave manipulation is... The more uneven the matchup is, the more important it gets pretty much. So in this matchup, it's like important, but it's not a deal breaker for Void Spirit, because he can still lane even if the lane is in the middle. It's not ideal for him, but he can still lane. But in unplayable matchups, you have to have the lane swinging a lot. Otherwise, it's gonna be very difficult to play the lane. To get the lane swinging again, because it has been in the middle for like pretty much 1 wave now. You guys can see Sumail trying to drag my creeps into his tower to make him push the wave again. If his wave is pushing into me, that means I cannot hit him, because I would be tanking like 3 or 4 creeps, right? So you guys can see here, he aggro pulls my creeps into his tower. My response is to, you know, hit him. Still get the last hits. I hit him, I use my spells. But now, because he has so many creeps, I need to back off here. Because all his creeps are hitting me, right? I can only hit him like 2 or 3 times. And now I have to go back. Still get the range tonight, luckily. But I'm still tanking creeps, because there's just so many. This is... like, pulling back the creeps into Torrent is a very, very effective way to get the lane swinging. It was a very good play by his part. And now he's using spells to try to push out the wave. But the problem is I have a lot more resources now than him. So in this replay, you guys can see me play Void Spirit against Lycan mid. And what he's about to do is another little niche play to do when you guys want to keep like static lane control. And that means glyphing the wave. When the enemy hero is about to use the spells on the wave to push it out. Here you can see me use W to try to kill the wave. He glyphs it, and I'm left with no spells and half HP, because I was tanking the wave. And his hits. And he gets like 2 denies. And I feel pretty sad about this. He gets even the range creep denied because I didn't get it. Yeah, this is a little bit of added mental damage. And definitely a play I sometimes do in pro games as well. I would recommend doing this if you guys want to use it, like maybe only once, like in the laning stage. I would not recommend using this like anywhere later than laning stage, when you actually need the glyph to defend your towers. Yeah, this is something you guys can do. If you guys see your opponent use a lot of resources to kill the wave, it's something you can do, but be careful of using this, because glyph has a very long cooldown. It's 5 minutes. So if you use this and the enemy team gets a tower for it, it's definitely not worth it. In this replay, you guys can see me playing White Spirit against Puck mid lane. As you guys can see here, it's 321. That means the next water rune is about to spawn. He has half a bottle left, or 2/3 I should say, and half HP. And I have no bottle charges left, and I'm also half HP. This is going to be another example of glyphing the wave, because I will again try to use my W to kill the wave. He glyphs it, and I'm left with low HP and almost no resources on my mana. Here I aggro pull a little back, and now water rune is about to spawn. So I try to stay to get a water rune, but he sees me and goes to the same side. This is a very good play by him. He has more resources. So instead of staying mid lane and letting me get the rune here, he opts to just follow me because he knows that I can't fight him. And then, you know, he's rewarded with 2 runes, and I have to walk back to base. In this instance, it's better to walk back to base than try to die to get the rune here. If you're absolutely sure that, you know, you can't fight this, that you're too low, you should just walk back to base. Yeah, I know it feels pretty bad, but, you know, that's something you have to do sometimes. Definitely better than dying and feeding him free gold and XP. There is going to be times where you don't get any water rune, and ideally, you know, you can ask a support if they can refill your bottle, so you don't have to walk back to base, because you will lose quite a bit just walking back to base. So yeah, ideally, you know, if your 4 or 5 is, you know, about to fight and die, then just ask him to DB mid and refill the bottle. In conclusion, wave manipulation or wave control is very important in a lot of matchups, and, you know, not that important in some matchups. Let's just go over a few examples here. Let's take the last game, like the Void Spirit Queen of Pain game. For example, in that matchup, Void Spirit wants the wave to be swinging a lot, and he accomplished that by either auto-attacking the creeps and using his spells to push in the wave. So his creeps run into my tower, and then my creeps run into his tower, because I'm going to be pushing after that. What that basically does is, while his wave runs at me, I cannot hit him, because his creeps will run at me, right? I won't have any creeps left. And also under his tower, it's not that easy to hit him either. So he's going to be safe for like 2 waves. On the other hand, Quap's goal in that matchup is to keep the lane in the mid lane as static as possible. You do not want the wave to be swinging. You want the wave to be in the middle, so you can abuse your spells and yeah, just hit him without, you know, aggroing too many creeps or aggroing tower or any of that. And yet this goes for a lot of matchups where your harass is worse than your opponent's harass. If you play like the quote-unquote weaker hero, you wanna have like a pretty stable lane. Unless, you know, there's obviously like an objective to get like a rune or something, then you can push it away. If you know, if you can abuse your range or your spells, then, you know, try to keep the lane as static as possible. Try not to have the creeps, you know, run into your tower or run into his tower, or any of that messes up the, you know, the lane control. If you play like a very dominating lane, then you can even miss like a few last hits just to keep like perfect lane control, like Viper against Ember, or Viper against Monkey, or Viper versus TA. It's okay to like just run up to his hill and start auto-attacking him, but that's like only for very, very dominating lanes. In like pretty even lanes, like let's say Puck against Lean or something, you're both like pretty high harassing heroes. like the link can be static. You both can just farm small camp. It doesn't really matter, but the more like harassed you have, the more like wave control matters.